Alysa Liu stood at center ice inside the Milano Arena, the final gladiator in a lineup of the world's deadliest competitors, and did the one thing nobody expected. She exhaled. In the cutthroat world of Olympic figure skating, the dying seconds before a free skate are typically defined by sheer paralyzing terror. You usually see athletes pacing like caged tigers, whispering desperate prayers, or staring 1,000 yards into the void. But as the opening chords of Lady Gaga's The Edge of Glory rattled the rafters, Alysa looked like she had nowhere else she'd rather be. The Ice Princess mask was gone. There was no manufactured smile. There was only a 20-year-old with raccoon-striped hair ready to declare that the old laws of the sport were officially dead. What followed was not just a routine, it was a masterclass in modern defiance. She didn't simply land her jumps. She attacked them with a technical ferocity that silenced every critic who claimed a 2-year retirement would leave her too rusty for Olympic ice. When the music swelled for the final chorus and Alysa struck her closing pose, the arena erupted with a noise Milan hadn't heard all games. When the score finally flashed on the jumbotron, the reality hit home. Alysa Liu had done it. She had taken down the reigning Japanese juggernauts and snapped a 24-year gold medal drought for American women. But more than the hardware, she had completed the most impossible comeback arc in the history of the Winter Games. This wasn't just gold for a country. It was gold for a girl who once walked away from the spotlight because she literally couldn't breathe. To grasp the weight of this moment, you have to understand the teenager who quit at 16. Before she was the rebel queen of Milan, Alysa was the ultimate experiment of the American skating machine. By 13, she was already rewriting history, crowning herself the youngest United States national champion on record. Her father had famously poured over $1 million into her career before she even hit her teenage years. She became the first American woman to land a triple axel and a quad in the same program. On paper, she was a phenomenon. In reality, she was a prisoner of her own hype. As outlets like the BBC and The Guardian reported, Alysa's early years were defined by a rigid, robotic demand for perfection. Her life was a blur of 5 a.m. wake-up calls and homeschooling in the back seat of a moving car. By the time she arrived at the Beijing 2022 Olympics, the Ice Princess facade was already cracking. She later confessed in raw, unfiltered interviews that while the world watched her finish a respectable 6th, she was internally counting down the seconds until she could escape. She famously admitted she low-key hated skating. She wasn't chasing a podium in China. She was chasing the exit door. She felt the sport had robbed her of a childhood and replaced it with a scorecard. So mere weeks after the 2022 season wrapped, the 16-year-old prodigy did the unthinkable. She retired. She tossed her skates in a closet, told the world she was finished, and vanished into a normal life. Most experts wrote her obituary right then and there. A classic case of burnout. For 2 years, Alysa Liu didn't touch the ice. Instead, she touched reality. She enrolled as a psychology student at UCLA, finally getting a taste of the social life she'd been denied during years of isolation. She trekked to the base camp of Mount Everest, trading the refrigerated air of the rink for the thin atmosphere of the Himalayas. She went on road trips with friends who couldn't tell the difference between a Lutz and a Salchow. During this sabbatical, she reclaimed her own body. Figure skating is a sport obsessed with a specific traditional aesthetic. Alysa rejected it wholesale. She dyed her hair with bold raccoon stripes, got piercings, and curated a vibe that was more alt-rock than classical ballet. She was finally living for herself, light years away from the judges' scorecards. But as she told CNN, something funny happened during those years of normalcy. She realized she didn't hate skating, she hated the system. Away from the pressure cooker, she missed the sensation of wind on her face and the dopamine hit of pure speed. In early 2024, she laced up her skates in secret just to see if the spark was still there. It was, but this time she made a pact. If she came back, it would be on her own terms. No one would dictate what she wore, what she listened to, or how she smiled. The Rebel Queen was born in that quiet public rink far removed from the Olympic glare. When Alysa announced her return for the 2026 season, the skating establishment was skeptical. They didn't get her new laid-back attitude. They didn't get why she carried anime plushies to major competitions or why she laughed after taking a spill. But Alysa had a secret weapon, a support system she never had as a kid. She forged an unbreakable bond with teammates Amber Glenn and Isabeau Levito, a trio they dubbed the Blade Angels. For the first time, Alysa wasn't a solo act shouldering the weight of a nation. She was part of a sisterhood. Earlier in the Milano Cortina Games, that bond was cemented when the Blade Angels powered Team USA to a repeat gold in the team event. Alysa's performance there was just the trailer. The individual final was the main event. And when the lights hit the ice, she didn't just skate. She soared. She is fearless, expressive, and technically lethal. Even when her gold medal famously snapped off its ribbon during the victory lap, Alysa just laughed, dented the medal a bit more, and joked that she liked it better with some battle scars. That embrace of the imperfect is exactly what made her mentally bulletproof. While her rivals crumbled under the weight of the stakes, Alysa treated the Olympic arena like her own personal stage. She had already failed by industry standards when she walked away at 16, and she survived. She understood that a medal gold, bronze, or dead last didn't dictate her worth as a human being. That epiphany gave her a psychological armor that no amount of drilling could ever replicate. The free skate in Milan served as the manifesto of this new philosophy. Alysa opted for a Lady Gaga medley blasting Edge of Glory and applause through the arena speakers. It was a radical departure from the somber orchestral pieces that typically suffocate Olympic finals. The technical execution was a masterclass in efficiency, bypassing the body-breaking quadruple jumps that had once wrecked her physique. She doubled down on quality instead. Every landing was seamless, racking up massive grade of execution points from the panel. Her spins were centered, the footwork intricate, and her component scores for artistry hit lifetime highs. But the true alchemy happened in the empty spaces. Between the elements, Alysa wasn't pleading with the judges, she was vibing with the crowd. Broadcasters noted she looked like she was actually having the time of her life, a rarity in the pressure cooker of an Olympic final. Minutes before taking the ice, while competitors hyperventilated in the tunnel, Alysa was slurping udon noodles and debating anime plot twists with her coaching staff. That unbothered energy was her superpower. She unlocked the secret to being the world's best athlete without letting the title devour her soul. When the final notes of the Gaga anthem hit, the verdict felt inevitable. The Oopsie Queen had ascended to the throne. With that gold medal, Alysa Liu officially exercised the Sarah Hughes curse. Before Milan, no American woman had claimed individual Olympic gold since Hughes in 2002. For over 2 decades, the US program languished in the shadows of Russian and Japanese dynasties. But Alysa didn't win by mimicking the systems that ruled the last 20 years. She didn't win through robotic consistency. She won by remaining unapologetically human. The Guardian noted that her triumph signals a seismic shift in the sports paradigm. It proves that longevity and mental stability aren't just luxuries, they are competitive assets. Her medal is a beacon to every young skater feeling that 16-year-old suffocation. You can walk away. You can have a life outside the rink. It says your identity isn't defined by your rotational velocity. The US Figure Skating Federation, which once saw Alysa as a reclamation project, now hails her as a savior. Yet Alysa keeps it grounded, telling CNN her highlight wasn't the hardware. It was celebrating with her crew and hunting down some post-game pizza. She stands as the sport's first truly relatable icon. Success in Milan wasn't about the medal around her neck. It was about the autonomy she snatched back, proving greatness doesn't require misery. It is about the power of choice. She chose to quit. She chose to return. She chose the music. She chose the raccoon stripe hair. And in the end, the judges chose her. Standing on that podium in the heart of Italy with the flag rising, she didn't resemble a machine polished for the showroom. She looked like a woman who had lived 1,000 lives in 20 years and finally found the one that fit. Alysa Liu didn't just win gold. She won her life back, proving the most graceful move on ice isn't a quad. It is the audacity to be yourself when the world demands conformity. The 2026 Games will hold many stories, but the legend of the Rebel Queen is the one that changes the sport forever. Milan is hers. The drought is broken, and Alysa Liu is exactly where she belongs.